Hello, everybody. How are we today? Just going to close. Oh, goody, I managed to do it. Hello. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michelle, and I am based in Bentley East and a local team leader. And I am joined tonight by my very good friend and colleague, Mandy Powers. And we have worked together for some time. And I know some of you have seen us cook together before. I was going to say perform before, but because we do have a bit of banter and we entertain each other and hopefully you as well. So we were inspired to do this class tonight, heading into this grand final weekend. And we were, what are we going to cook this weekend? And I actually did present this dish on a grand final Zoom back in lockdown. And it's a buffalo wings dish, which is delicious. And I haven't made it for some time. So we're having a late dinner tonight. It's school holidays. The kids are sleeping and getting up later. So the things we're cooking tonight will be our late dinner. So we're very excited. So we thought, well, let's not cook alone. Let's share it with our lovely customers. So we are tonight cooking in the TM6. We did actually have a look at the registration earlier, and we see that a lot of you on here tonight are new TM6 owners who have either recently invested or recently upgraded from a TM31, which is actually really exciting. I did see we've got a few TM5 owners on here, and a lot of these recipes can also be done in the TM5, but you also might be looking at things that the TM6 does and kind of go, well, actually, that would be really helpful for me if I could do that too. Here we go. Everything's beeping at me. 2 seconds. You'll find out what that was about later. So let me introduce you to the amazing TM6. I've got it sitting here on the glider board because people often ask me about that. So it just means you saw how easily then I can just move that around. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Thermomix language, what you will see is this is time, this is temperature, and this is speed. So it's the same language. I'm looking at that mess on the bench. I just need to put the herbs there to block that a little bit. My OCD-ness doesn't like that. There we go. Oh, look at those. And then what you've got is other screens as well. So in here, we've got all these amazing modes. When we first got the TM6, there were 9 modes. We're now up to 18. So the beauty of its connectivity means, like your smartphone, you wake up in the morning, it has an update and you have extra modes. If we go the other direction, we've got direct access through to our Cookie Do platform. So we will show you a little bit of Cookie Do later today, but this is a very relaxed environment. If you've got any sort of burning questions or things you'd like to know, you're welcome to shout out. You're welcome to put it in the chat. We are recording because sometimes with these things, or actually quite often, people register knowing they can't come, so that we're going to send the recording. So if you do want to turn your camera off, you're welcome to turn your camera off, although we do spotlight ourselves. So that's who people will see when they do watch the recording. For anyone in here who's interested in investing in a TM6, because there are a couple of non-owners, the price is $2,579, and what we have until the end of this month is a special offer where you get a free second jug, so one of these, which is really handy, and a $200 Woolworths voucher, because in a lot of recent survey, we just found that the biggest stress on people at the moment is their grocery bill. So we figure that we are partnered with Woolworths. That's who our Cookie Do platform goes through when you do your online shopping. So they've got on board with us, and we're doing this voucher for our customers as well. So if you're looking at us tonight and go, those girls look like fun, I want to do what they're doing, hang around and chat with us at the end, or shoot me an email if you need to pop off when we're finished at about 8:30. If you need to pop off, do that, and just shoot me an email to that confirmation just to say I'd like some more information if you hadn't ticked it on your registration form. Alrighty, well, what I'm going to do, because we've got a few things that have a slightly longer cooking time tonight, we're going to pop over to Mandy's kitchen, and she is going to show you her first dish. And the other thing, just as we're cooking tonight, is if you're thinking about people who might like to see the Thermomix in action, we do in-home demonstrations as well, and we're really excited to be back in people's homes. We have been now for a sort of a couple of years, which has been lovely. And just you and 2 or 3 friends, we can do 3 or 4 dishes tailored to you and your needs, opens you up to host rewards, and obviously gives you lots of learning opportunities about your Thermomix as well. So lots of things to think about as we're cooking tonight. All right, lovely Mandy, I'm going to spotlight you. And
thank you very much. Welcome everybody. There's one other thing that comes in our current package, and it's this book. So this book is actually it's called created something incredible, and it's got quite a few beautiful recipes in it. It's also obviously on Cookie Dough, but that is part of our current package as well. Now I've got to find a spot for it. Okay, all right. So I'm making Kumara sausage rolls. There are lots of sausage rolls on Cookie Dough, but I do know, particularly one of my customers on here, she is vegetarian, but you know, so we just want to give you some options. Michelle's doing some chicken, so I thought I'd do a vegetarian option. And there are other vegetarian sausage rolls on Cookie Dough. I particularly like this one because I don't know if anybody's heard of Jo Whitten from Quirky Cooking, but one of her things is she always thinks, how can I add more nutrition into whatever I'm making? And I think that's just fantastic. And I do know one of the other sausage rolls there, the vegetarian sausage rolls, they have oats. I'm not saying they're not nutritious, but I'm thinking that having vegetables in I prefer that anyway. So here we go. I have the Kumara sausage rolls stuck. Now, I have actually pre-cooked the Kumara or sweet potato because it takes 20 minutes. And I thought, you know, in the interest of time. So what I actually will do is go to these 3 dots, recipe detail. I can come down here, and that hasn't helped me at all. Normally it would be another step, but it hasn't. It's just first thing was line a plate. Anyway, that's all right. Then I'm putting 1 brown onion in, cut into quarters, plus 2 sprigs of coriander, leaves only. Might be a few more than 2 in there because I'm quite partial to coriander. Just going to chop that for 3 seconds, speed 7. And sure you all know that. If you're not an owner, then that's how amazing 3 seconds can be in the Thermomix. I'm just going to scrape that down as it's asked me to do so. And 20 grams of olive oil. With my scales here, that's really simple. And of course, the scales of the TM6 are 1 gram increments. And 2 tablespoons of harissa. Now, I had to make the harissa yesterday. This is so easy to make. I'll find the recipe and pop it into the chat. But I did cover the top with some olive oil, but because that's the best way to preserve things in your fridge. However, I think I'm going to need most of it, so I'm going to pop that in. Okay, a little bit late. And then it asked me to put the simmering basket on top, which I have just done there. And that's 3 minutes at 100 degrees on speed 2. And in that time, I believe we're going back to Michelle as she's got something that needs a little bit of time in there.
Hello,
Yes,
hello. So, I mentioned before buffalo chicken wings. The other dish that I am doing this evening is, and again, it's one I haven't made for ages, but I absolutely love it, and so does my family, is a steamed brie with a basil pesto. So what I'm going to do is because the brie steams for about 15 minutes. So I thought that's probably a good thing to get happening because then I can do it. So I'm going to do it a little bit back to front. So what I'm going to do is take you around to my screen so you can see what I'm doing here. So if I go into my home screen, what I've got here is my weekly planner, and I have saved this in my week under Cook Today. So with Cookie Dough, for those of you who are not familiar with Cookie Dough, it's like a Netflix for recipes. So here's my recipe here, melted brie with basil pesto. So, and the other thing is you can change your view. So if you tap on that little calendar icon in the top corner there, you can change your view, and this is the same as your phone, which means it'll show you things from previous as well, not just from today forward. When you want to go into the recipe that you're making, just tap on the recipe and it'll take you in. Now, for those who aren't familiar with this, and I know some of you are, so I'm sorry that it's something you already know, but you can go down here and have a look at your recipe. So level of difficulty, easy, prep time, 10 minutes, total time, 30 minutes, and it gives you your portion size there. Now, in some recipes, you will actually see a little hyperlink there, which means that recipe is what we call a scaled recipe. So that means that you can go into that recipe and choose your portion size. So for example, if you're making porridge, you'll have the option of 246. So what I'm going to do, because what this does is make the pesto first, but as I said, I'm going to get the Brie steaming while Mandy's things are frying there. So I'm going all the way down to here where it says place the water into the mixing bowl. So you can really play with the order of things that you want to do. Or say you were steaming the Brie, but you didn't want to make the pesto for some reason. So built-in scales, I've taken everything off. So I just want to make sure it is at 0. And I'm going to pour in my 500, I was going to say degrees then, 500 grams of water. Beautiful. And then place Varoma into position. So I have my Varoma here, which is popping up at the top there. And next, line with baking paper. Well, I've sort of done it the other way around. I've got my Brie in the baking paper here. And then place the unwrapped Brie into the Varoma dish. So I'm actually going to take the tray out and just pop this, so tip that forward, just in the bottom there. Now you want it to, you can actually do it in its foil, but I got the kids to help me and it got thrown in the bin before I did that. But otherwise, if you unwrap your Brie carefully, you can actually just steam it in its foil. So in that goes, on goes my lid. In goes my tray. And then the next ingredient is some vine tomatoes. So sorry about the packaging, Mandy. I had to go to the supermarket, not the market. So the vine tomatoes are just going to go up here on the tray. And they're really a garnish, and then they'll actually go beautifully. They'll go nice and steamed and warm and go through the pesto as well. So secure the lid, which we've done, and now that's just going to steam for 14 minutes on speed 1. So that's one of those things you can kind of, get everything else ready in advance, and then just as guests are arriving, you can have that on, so you're serving it when it's all melted. I'm doing a little bit back to front. But Mandy, is your 3 minutes up? Lovely. All right, so that's steaming. We'll go back to Mandy and I'll see you again shortly.
I had to do a quick sprint to the front door because my husband's obviously just arriving home and the dog was going crazy, so I'd let the dog out.
Anyway. 5, everybody, which is live.
All right. So it's asking me so that we've cooked the onion and the coriander and harissa, and it's asking me to transfer it into a bowl and set aside. I'm not going to do that because I've actually done the next step. I've got my oven on anyway, line the baking trays, and then it's asking for 500 grams of water in there, okay? And then place the Varoma in position and weigh in the Kumara. Now, this is the step that I have already done, so we can skip through there. But I just wanted to, just whilst we're talking, because I'm not actually doing that, I don't know if you know, in your basic cookbook, you've got a whole section on Varoma, cooking in the Varoma, and it's towards the back, and I'll tell you what page it is in just a second. We've got a whole lot of resources in here, but the steaming page is 317. This is the back. If you've got a TM6, it's the back of your white book. And in here, it tells you that you need to have a minimum of 500 grams of water, and you steam for the stated time, and it will give you times here. Varoma temperature on speed 1. That's obviously if you're doing things manually. If you're doing it in a recipe, it tells you exactly what to do. But I just wanted to draw that to your attention in case you thought, I just want to steam some veggies, and that will actually, we've got all the information then. Okay, so moving on, we've got the steamed potatoes and everything. And then it's asking me for 200 grams of feta cheese. All right, so I've got the feta in a bowl here. It says add black pepper to season. And then, also the reserved, now I was a bit short on the sweet potato, so I just did a bit of potato in there too. So all that's going in. And the contents of the bowl that we just cooked. So there it is, all there. It says stir gently to combine. I might have to be a little bit more brutal than just gently because obviously the potato's been cooked a little while ago. But I'm just literally mixing all this up. And I don't know if you've seen these bowls before. They're from the mix shop. They've got a non-slip base and they come in a set of 3 and they're fantastic. I love them. Really good. Great handle and a spout as well. And they also have lids. All right. So then it says place 4 puff pastry sheets onto a silicone mat. Now, I haven't done puff pastry. I've made, this was meant to be bought puff pastry, but I've just made a bit of pastry and I have pre-rolled it because pastry and I are not the best friends. So, but I've got it on a silicone mat here. This is, we have the one from the mix shop, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is just another one I had because I pre-rolled and did them in a couple of layers, and I wanted to make sure that they didn't get dry. It says brushed with some egg. Now I have got 4 pieces like this, but I'm only going to show you one because you don't need to see them all. And then place some of the mixture along the one edge of the pastry sheet and roll to enclose, seam side down. So I'm going to put some of this along here and fix it up in a minute. We're actually heading away for the weekend. I don't know if anybody else is tomorrow, and taking these for lunch one day. So that's one of the great things about being a consultant. You cook things and you entertain people at the same time, and then you get to eat them. All right, and it says roll to enclose, seam side down. So I'm going to just try and do this. As I said, not my best, my forte. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. And then cut each roll into 4 equal portions. Now I have got, remember if it's silicone, you can't use a sharp knife, but I do have a little pastry cutter from the mix shop. So I'm going to take the end off there and I'm just going to cut in half here, cut in half there. Obviously, if you want smaller ones, you can do that as well. Cut in half there. And now I'm transferring to prepared baking tray. And then I'm going to repeat with the other mixture and brush with some more of the egg. Oh, it actually says sprinkle with sesame seeds, so I'll do that too. And then they're going to bake in the oven for 30 minutes. So I'll just finish that up and pop those in the oven so that at least one lot will be ready when before we finish. So over to you, Michelle, if she's there. She is there.
I'm here. I was just running around frantically in the background. Lovely. And Mandy, am I right in saying you haven't made those before?
No, I actually have made them once before, and they're really good.
Yeah, beautiful. I was going to say, because often we make things that we've never made before. So, you know, live. So that's how confident we are in our Thermomixes and cookie dough. So what I'll do now is, so I've got my other Thermomix over there with the Brie steaming. So I'm going to make the pesto. Now, I don't know if you've looked at pesto on cookie dough, but there are so many variations. And I think it's really important that you make it the way you like it. So, for example, I leave the garlic out because I found that the raw garlic was just really overpowering. But someone else loves garlic. They might put 5 cloves in instead of 1 or 2. So I think that the beauty of cookie dough is it is very much choose your own adventure. So don't be afraid to do that. If you're someone who likes to follow a recipe exactly, all of these recipes are triple tested. They will work 100% every time. But if you, if you would normally go, oh, I don't like that, I'm going to put this, or I'm going to put more of that and less of that, obviously you can still do that. So you don't have to change who you are as a cook to use the Thermomix. All right, so I'm sort of going backwards in my recipe now. So I'm going to go into the recipe details. So if anyone who might not have seen that, those 3 little dots at the top there give you a few different options. So what this recipe says to do is put a jug on top and weigh, which I did. And what that does is it means the scales will be on 0 and weigh in some olive oil. So I have done that already. So I'm going to pop that aside and then set the jug aside. So now I've got some lemon zest. So I just peeled some zest off the side of one of my beautiful lemons that I got from my friend's tree, and in that goes. And then the next ingredient is, it says 50 grams of Parmesan. So I actually just bought a new block a couple of days ago. So I am literally just cut the end off that. I've got 80 grams. So again, choose your own adventure, because I love Parmesan. So I'm happy to have a bit of extra Parmesan. This is the garlic. I'm leaving that out. And now we're going to, hang on, I need a measuring cup for that. Apologies, here we are. Okay. So now it's 10 seconds on speed 9. So Zoom will mute that for a second, but in 10 seconds, I'll show you what that looks like. Beautiful. I think it's one of those funny things where it doesn't matter how many times I see it, I'm impressed. Anybody else? And I wish you could smell it, because the smell of the lemon zest through the Parmesan as well just gives it this beautiful fresh flavour or smell. Well, it will give it a fresh flavour. So scrape it down. It's actually pretty, the sides are actually pretty neat. So it's going to be too fussy there. Next is 40 grams of lemon juice, which says approximately 1 lemon. So the lemons I had actually from my friend's tree were quite thick skinned. So this was 1.5 lemons, and that's about right. And there you go, 39. I hadn't pre-weighed that one, but you do get to learn the weights as you're doing things. I always laugh and go, oh, well, maybe I could get a job in a deli one day if I want to. So 100 grams of roasted pine nuts. Honestly, I didn't have time today, so they're not roasted. And I'm not going to put 100 in. I'm just going to do about 50. There's a lovely pesto recipe, a Sam Wood one, which is a roast pumpkin pesto, etc. We might pull that up and share it with you, actually, because it's really great. And he does a lot of it. There's no nuts in here, there's spinach. So I have got some basil that I've bought today, but I'm actually not going to make it all with basil. I'm going to do some basil and some spinach. And I went to a customer today and she gave me this beautiful parsley. So I'm going to put some of that in. So again, you know, you can really very much use what you've got. And I have gone a bit over, but I'm okay with all of that. Salt and pepper, my little salt container here. So there's a pinch. I think that was a very Italian pinch. So 4 seconds, speed 5. That. You see that there? Now, I'm going to give that a little stir. I'm not sure if it says to give it another chop or not, but a little stir down. Actually looks pretty good. You see the beautiful colour and mixture there. Let's see if it tells me to do it. Oh, scrape down the sides without measuring cup. So, of course, we don't have the olive oil in here yet. I was actually just looking at that thing there going, looks good, but it's a bit dry. And I just remembered it's because I don't have the olive in yet. So now what it's asking me to do is put the lid on without the measuring cup. And then it says turn to speed 3 and meanwhile follow the next step. So here we go. I'm going to speed 3 and then it says add reserved olive oil through the hole in the mixing bowl lid. So it's just emulsifying. Honestly, I probably could have just thrown it all in together. But that makes it pretty fancy. Metal on metal is not a pleasant sound. There we go. Beautiful. Right. So now you can see that I've got a beautiful pesto-like texture there. and it smells amazing. So transfer to a bowl. Now, I've got this sort of shallow dish because I am going to, when the Brie's ready, I'm going to put that straight in there. But this is definitely something you could do in advance. So if you're entertaining, make your pesto the day before and then just do the Brie part when you are about to serve it. Because the whole thing about it being melted is that it then just goes through the pesto, and when you sort of tuck into it, it does this beautiful kind of gooey mix. So I'm just going to spread that more to the edges, and then the Brie, when it's ready, is going to sit in the middle there. So that's that waiting. It almost because I had too much, or not too much, because I had extra parmesan in it. It's not as green as it would be, but that's okay. It's going to taste amazing. So it's something, sometimes it's more green, sometimes it's less. So now this is what would go into the steaming of the Brie, but I've got that happening over there. So Mandy, do I need to come back to you or can I continue?
You can continue if you like, that's fine. I'm just, yes, keep going. I'm trying to talk about a recipe here.
All right.
Sorry, in the chat.
I need to grab another bowl. Give me 2 seconds.
Whilst you're doing that though, that dip and the melted Brie, they are sensational. I've made them when we've had people over and it disappears in seconds. It is so good.
That was good timing. My dishwasher had just finished, so the other bowl is now clean. Right, pop that up there. So my other dish, as I mentioned before, is buffalo wings. So I don't know if any of you are or were familiar with Nacho's Cantina. There was one in Aspendale and one in Clayton, and they've recently closed down, and it was very sad for us because that would be let's go for a quick nachos at Nacho's Cantina. That was sort of something we do as a family. However, they closed down, but ironically, one of the things I used to love to order from them was buffalo wings. So really, it is much cheaper to make your own. So if I go into my week here, I can pull up my buffalo wings, bring my screen in a little bit, and so buffalo wings. Now this is a 3-part recipe as well. So if I go down into this recipe, it's got a blue cheese dressing, a hot sauce, and the wings. Now, if you were making this and you go, well, my family don't like blue cheese dressing or hot sauce, you could just do the wings component and just serve it with some barbecue sauce or something. So again, you can take components, or you might go, oh, yum, I'm just going to make a blue cheese dressing and put it on a cheese platter with some grissini or, things like that. So when a recipe's got lots of different components, you don't have to make all the components. You kind of have a look at it and make the component that works for you. So I am going to go from the top with the blue cheese dressing. So with this, again, in the interest of time, I've kind of pre-done things in here. So this is mayonnaise, sour cream, a little bit of milk, and some blue cheese. So that goes all in here. Well, maybe I should have done that in the same bowl as the pesto. I wonder if that would have been nice. Who would have done that and who's got a clean bowl? Interesting. I always have to think about the order of things you do things in because there's definitely some good options there. Oh, and there's a couple of pinches of pepper in there as well. So then on we go with the lid. And it's 10 seconds on speed 4. Beautiful. How fast does 10 seconds go? So there's our beautiful dressing. Now, I did cheat today because I did use store-bought mayonnaise, but however, if you have run out of mayonnaise or you'd like to make your own, there is a fabulous, there's lots of recipes on there, but probably our favourite one is called a cooked mayonnaise. And the beauty of that is that it does actually cook the egg. So it's not a raw egg mayonnaise. So if you do have anybody who's maybe got a raw egg allergy or just, and it seems to keep a bit longer in the fridge, I find as well. So that's definitely one that we all love and recommend. And it's also one that you can make half batch, a double batch. So it's very forgiving recipe. And it's never split, never ever splits. So lots of benefits there. Beautiful. So that's our hot sauce recipe done there. Oh, sorry, hot sauce. Blue cheese recipe done there.
Michelle, maybe if you can come back to me, I've got to get these cookies have to cook for 15 minutes as well.
Yeah, perfect. Good timing.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's good. I can clean my bowl.
Oh, but if you were doing this current offer, you wouldn't need to clean your bowl because you'd have 2 bowls.
We've actually got
which I know you do have.
from use right now.
Yeah. All right. So I'm making peanut butter cookies. And actually what I meant to show you before I put, well, when I put the sausage rolls in the oven, I use the timer. So if you haven't found it, it's a little tab at the top there and you can set the time. This also has the Thermomix sensor and I cooked a chicken breast for dinner and used the Thermomix sensor and it timed it all for me beautifully. So I have 17.59 minutes left on those sausage rolls. But I'm going to make these peanut butter cookies. And what you'll notice with these is it's actually an American recipe. But it doesn't matter because it's all going to, everything comes up on your screen and all you got to do is weigh in what it says. Little tip someone gave me, a customer gave me some time ago, for Fahrenheit and centigrade, halve it. So I have done that. All right, line 2 baking sheets with parchment and set aside. Okay. Now, when it comes to sugar, I don't know about you guys, but I find Thermomix are very generous with their sugar in recipes, so I never put in as much sugar. But it is important that you don't cut it by too much, all right? So I've cut that back. I've left 3 ounces out, and then I've got, because I've got to put brown sugar in as well. So and I've done 5 ounces of that. You want to make sure that you don't, particularly in a cake, you don't cut it by more than 30%, okay? Otherwise, the structure of the cake changes. And I learned that whilst baking a cake for the lovely Irene, who, if anyone's come across her in any of these things, she is the cake queen. It was her birthday and I baked a cake and I cut the sugar by half and it didn't work. All right, insert the measuring cup. Here we go. And 10 seconds, speed 10. Just going to mill all that sugar up. It always looks so impressive when it's got the sort of sugary steam coming out the top. Anyway, I'm sure you've all seen this, but if you haven't, it's awesome. Okay. Scraping all that down, and it says unsalted butter at room temperature, which I had it in the fridge because I thought it was cold. I'm sure it'll be fine. So here we are, unsalted butter cut into pieces. Seven ounces of crunchy peanut butter. Okay. One minute on speed 4, just mixing all that up together. Well, a minute is a long time. Scrape down the sides. Look at that. It's an amazing colour too. It smells amazing. So I'll scrape that down. There are 2 peanut butter cookie recipes on Cookie Do. I made the other one last time, but I thought I'd try this one. 2 eggs. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So this is also a Thermomix recipe. I'll find that and post that in a minute. Oops. All right. I'll tell you what's going to happen because we might go back to Michelle because there's going to be a few 1-minute things happening here. So I've got 1 minute again, mixing all that in. So that's the eggs and the vanilla. Then I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Then I'm going to add all-purpose flour, which is plain flour, with baking powder and baking soda and sea salt, and some roasted salted almonds. And then it's actually going to mix for 20 seconds, but then it's actually going to knead. So I'm going to have a minute of kneading and another minute of kneading. So there's a whole lot of minutes of just sort of sitting there. So I figure we're best off going to Michelle. I'll add all the other ingredients in. I'll let you know when it's all done, and then I'll make them into the cookies.
It's Mandy. Got it. Excellent. We're like a well-oiled machine, you and I. Alrighty. So who's done some baking in their Thermomix? Cookies, cakes, things like that. If you've got a favourite recipe, pop it in the chat. We'd love to know. We learn as much from you as I hope you learn from us with those things. So the next part of this chicken wing recipe is the hot sauce. So the hot sauce is 3 very delicious ingredients: butter, hot sauce, and honey. So in goes the butter. Here's my honey. I'm going to take the lid off because otherwise it takes quite some time. I'm just going to tilt that a little bit so we can see what's happening in the top of the jug there as well. So 90 grams of honey. Now, when you're pouring in something in the bowl and you haven't got a full bowl, I tend to try and pour it. It's going to be a bit tricky actually to hold that top. But pour it around the edge, not in the center of the blade. So, although I think with this one, the hot sauce is going to then fill it up anyway. But it just means that when you're cooking, it's going to get, oh, that's nice, coming out nice and quick. It's going to get fully mixed in rather than if what you're doing is not as high as the top of the blade, you don't get some sort of sitting on the top, not cooking, if that makes sense. Ooh. Beautiful. All righty, clean that up in a minute. And then the last thing says hot sauce. So I'm going to do kind of half hot sauce and half a barbecue sauce, mainly because I didn't have enough hot sauce, but also because last time I did this, I think the hot sauce was a bit too hot just to have hot sauce. So I've got hot sauce, and then I've got this lovely barbecue sauce as well. I haven't got quite enough, but I think it'll still taste good because who doesn't love a lot of butter? Well, that's certainly one of our guilty pleasures in this house. So it actually says to place the simmering basket on top, and that's actually just going to cook for 5 minutes, but I have now got my Brie to show you. So it's behind me. Grab it. So in the varoma here, I have the tomatoes. Now, if you don't have the tomatoes, you don't want to do those, that's okay. It is really their garnish. They just look really pretty. Like, it's all about adding colour to the plate. And if you think about, you know, as festive seasons approach, how pretty that can look, you know, the red and the green on the plate there. Let me get rid of that. And then you can see the Brie is sort of steaming there, and it's I'm going to grab a spatula actually to cut up. Try not to break it. Yeah, that's working. I was worried I was going to split it, but it seems to be holding its own there. There you go. So when you put this on the table, what I did when I did it, well, I've done it, is actually then go in and cut some wedges, and then you'll see that all that goodness is oozing into the pesto as well. So, you know, have some crackers or some really lovely sort of crunchy bread on the side and scoop up a little bit of everything. Put a little cherry tomato on your plate or on your cracker. Have a look at that. Yeah. What a gourmet dinner my family are having tonight. This is their dinner. As Mandy said before, that's the beauty of when we do these Zoom demos. Whatever we make is our, you know, dinner the next night or lunch the next day. So yeah, so that makes a really lovely centerpiece on a table when you're entertaining. So, and whether that be, you know, a barbecue or whether that be something more formal, I would definitely recommend that dish. Oh, I can see you've got vanilla paste in there, Mandy. That sounds exciting. Who here thinks they might like to cook that now that they've seen it, the steamed brie? Oh, I can see Melinda nodding. Excellent. Lovely, lovely. Yeah, it's definitely a winner. You know, and I love it when we do these things because it actually reminds me. It reminds me of recipes because there's so many great recipes. So it reminds me to go, oh, yeah, I must make that again. So, yeah, absolutely excited by that. Mandy, would you like us to come back to you yet?
It's just finished.
Oh, there you go. How's that for timing? Here we go. There she is.
Oh, hang on. And I've got a confession to make. I thought my oven was on and it wasn't, so my sausage roll's a bit behind. Anyway, here is the dough. I've got two ovens and they were needs to be slightly different temperatures, so I put on two ovens, but I only put one on.
Oh no.
Anyway, we'll see. I've put the move.
I always say, you know, I never fail with the Thermomix, but sometimes when it comes to the oven, things don't necessarily work out the way they should.
So then it says rounded tablespoons. These will cook in time because they're only take 10 to 15 minutes. Rounded tablespoons of dough. I'm just using ice cream scoop. This one actually comes from our kitchen toolkit, which is a host reward. If you haven't got one, they're awesome. I'll pull the rest over in a minute. I'll redeem myself by showing you something else. And I'm just putting these onto one of our silicone mats on the rose gold tray. I love these because look, it's actually got little marks on it. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm just putting my cookies on the marks, and they're fairly rough, but you know that's all right. They're rustic. That's the word I mean, not rough. They're rustic. So popping them on there, and then these are going to go into the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. So put the last couple on here. It makes a massive number, but I'm making them probably a little bit bigger than it says. I think it says it makes 32, but we don't need 32 anyway. So that is those, and now I'll have to put the timer on my phone for these. So I'll pop them in just a second, but before I do, we're quickly going to grab the kitchen toolkit so you can have a quick look at that. So this is our kitchen toolkit. It is a host reward. That ice cream scoop comes with it. It's got different knives. It's got a sharp little knife there. It's got the most awesome peeler. Another little sharp knife. It's got this knife, which is actually a bread knife on one side and a buttering knife on the other. And it's got a really brilliant pair of kitchen scissors. We've got one of these in the center console of our four-wheel drive for picnics and everything else. So they are awesome. Michelle, will come back to you and I'll get these in the oven.
Thank you. Hello, I'm back. Normally we have a third person who can do all the spotlighting. So Mandy and I are cooking, spotlighting. She's writing in the chat. We're like, you know, got things happening everywhere. It's very exciting. So that's finished cooking, and it actually says to now transfer it into a dish to keep it warm. So transfer into a thermal serving bowl. I've got one of these really cute little mini thermo servers, which I absolutely love for things like this. But the other thing that we've got on our mix shop is a thermal jug, and the thermal jug is fabulous. So camera down so you can see that. This is a really buttery, honey, delicious sauce here. Beautiful. Yum. Now, for those of you who are new to TM6, there is an amazing pre-clean mode, so you don't have to worry about cleaning. I'm just going to put that on the Thermomix bowl then. I'll get there in the end. So you don't have to worry about cleaning it because you can just clean itself, and it also goes in the dishwasher, so keep that in mind. All right, what's next? So clean and dry mixing bowl. So now it's asked me to preheat a barbecue. Now I've done things a little bit back to front again in the interest of time, because now you do the chicken wings. So you've got your dipping sauce ready, you've got your hot sauce ready, and now you get the chicken wings ready. So I'm going to show you what I've got. So it said 2 kilos of wing or drumette. So this had 2 kilos in it, but I've started cooking some of it. And it says if you're doing it in the oven, baking tray with a wrap. I've actually done it in the air fryer tonight. Now, air fryers were a big thing in COVID. We already had Thermomixes, so we had to buy something else. And I actually never got on board with the air fryer because I just didn't know when I would use it. But anyway, one of my friends somehow ended up with 2. And so she one day just texted me and said, I've left you something in your doorstep. It was an air fryer. So I thought this is a perfect, I've used it a few times, but I feel like this is the perfect thing to do in the air fryer. So, but if you do it in the oven, I mean, it can be done on a barbecue as well. It says to put it on a wire rack so you can kind of circulate it. So it says to pop this on the top here. So your bowl's on the top there. You weigh your chicken wings in. Pat all the chicken dry with a paper towel so you haven't got any of that moisture there. And then what you're doing is coating it with 2 tablespoons of baking powder, tablespoon of paprika, and some salt. You don't need to remember that. It's all in the recipe. And then just toss it to coat it, okay? So, and then what I've been doing is I'm going to carry you over to my air fryer over here, and they're in there. Let me set that so I'm going to slide away. There we go. So, in fact, they're probably ready to be turned. At the moment, I'll deal with those later. And the ones that I've already cooked, because it then says to put them aside, I've got in the thermo server here. Because then what it tells you to do is toss them. So it says cook them, and if it's in the oven, it's about 30 minutes. So again, you know, you could make the hot sauce the day before and just reheat it when you need it. The dipping sauce you can make and pop it in the fridge, and you can have your chicken wings coated in the business, and if you want to change, you know, you can add other spices and things as well. So it says transfer the wings to a thermal bowl, which I've done, and I'm just going to bring it over here. And then coat it in the hot sauce. So I haven't got all the wings in here, so I'm just going, so I won't put all the sauce in. My family are going to be very excited about this dinner, let me tell you. So I'm just going to pour some of this over here. and then give it a bit of a toss. And then, so the paprika and the baking powder and the salt make sure that it's a really crunchy. And then this is, remember this had the honey in it as well, the honey and the butter. So we're just going to sort of toss all that to coat it. And then to serve them, quite a feast going on here. To serve them, the way they used to serve them at Nacho's Cantina was on a tray where they'd have the sauce in the middle and the wings around the outside with a bit of celery. So do you need me to come back to you, Mandy?
No, I'm waiting for things to cook in my oven.
Okay, beautiful. So I have had this for many years, and it's got a built-in center thing, and I love it for sort of Mexican type food. And actually, had I not been out all afternoon, what they used to do was cut the celery and if you put it in water, it goes pretty. Who does that? Does anyone do that kind of stuff? So I'm not going to make it too pretty. I'm just going to cut it like this. But yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, they kind of would put a few little, like a little split in the top. And then if you put it in a bit of water, it'll fill up and then it kind of makes a little sprout shape. It's very pretty. So put your celery there. Get your wings. Oh, my wings are under there, aren't they? Your wings, and then pop them in between those bits of celery there. I think I used to pay about $30, honestly, for about a dozen wings. Ridiculous. What was I thinking? And these wings, can I tell you, they weren't expensive. I think today I paid less than $15 for 2 kilos of wings or drumettes. I'm saying wings, but they were all drumettes actually. But either way, who doesn't love eating a drumette? Sorry if there's any vegetarians on, because you probably don't love eating a drumette, but those that do. Oh look, I hadn't even those, but there's my. Move that out of the way. And of course, some of my blue cheese dip sauce. Look at that. I was actually about to call my family, but I need to photograph this before I let them eat it, don't I, guys?
Yeah, I'm a bit sorry I've eaten dinner and can't pop over.
I know, look at that. How's that for gourmet?
That's awesome.
Really good, really easy. You can have a play with, how you want to serve it. Honestly, if you didn't want to do the whole, Australian bits, you could just leave them in a thermal bowl or something, and then people would just walk past and grab one and dip it in the sauce. But these are really great kind of entertaining, summery. I mean, this is summer or winter, I guess, but that kind of, oh yeah, Mandy's put the sauce in, yeah. So yeah, lots of fun things. Has anyone got any questions? I haven't actually had a look in the chat to see.
Oh, I think I've just been trying to redeem myself, putting a whole lot of stuff in there.
Do you know, for those on here who are TM31 upgrade customers, hands up who has ever, because of course with the 31 you had to set your own time, temperature and speed. I remember one of my first demos putting the risotto on to cook for 17 minutes, but not setting the temperature. So all I did was stir that rice and water and mushrooms for 17 minutes, and everyone was hungry. And then at the end it dinged, and I'm like, that doesn't look cooked. Hang on, that's not hot, and realized what I'd done. So thankfully, they were very lovely people and all had a bit of a laugh and said, don't worry, put it on and we'll have a glass of wine while we wait. And they all had a bit of a laugh with me. So, the beauty of the TM6 is that won't happen. But
that's my problem. I had to use an oven.
Yeah, you still had to turn your oven on.
You do. There's a question for you in the chat, which is, were the chicken wings skinless?
They're not skinless, no.
No.
And that's sort of what no, and there you can sort of have a look. I guess if you wanted skinless, but the whole thing with this is that they crisp up. So when you the baking paper, keep saying that, the baking powder and the salt make the skin go all crunchy. So, or crunchy, you know, yeah, nice and crispy. So, and then you kind of have that sticky hot sauce over it. So it gives you that really lovely balance of the crunchy and the sticky sort of thing. So I'm not sure. I mean, you could use, I'm not sure that you'd do that without skin because I feel like that's what this is. But there are certainly lots of recipes if you don't want to eat the chicken skin. There are lots of healthier recipes that you could do. This is probably, with how much butter is in that hot sauce alone and honey, this is probably not the recipe for you if you're looking for a healthy chicken option. But there are a lot of recipes that are healthy chicken options. And if you like a pesto idea, the other week, Diana did a delicious, and again, great. In fact, I'm going to make it for my brother's barbecue grand final this weekend. He's gathering. It's a chicken pesto pasta salad. So that's actually really healthy, and that's chicken pieces, not steamed chicken pieces. So
there's another recipe that uses chicken and pesto. There's the delish chicken pesto nuggets.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's a really nice one. Yeah. Yeah, so
that sounds amazing. Now, tell me, because you're still cooking, if people are going to, we were going to finish up about now, but I'm imagining people might want to see your things. Who here would like me to take you through some cookie dough, how to use cookie dough, or just have a bit of a chat about, have you got any questions?
I've got a question for everybody. Pop in the chat. Okay, people do want to do cookie dough. That's great. But pop in the chat if you don't have a Thermomix cutter, because I'd love to know that. We are loving our cutters, and something that we found out the other day is that next year there's a spiralizer blade coming for it too, which is very exciting. I'd love to. Oh, that's my cookies.
I got to see that today.
Oh, you got to see it. Oh, awesome.
Yes, because I had a meeting with our manager and she said, oh, I've just got this. They gave it to me last night to have a little play with. So one of the things that they're all doing with it, you know, now when you go to kind of shows and things, they have those potatoes, the big spiral potatoes on a stick. Have you seen those?
Yeah, at the Melbourne show today.
It does. Oh, did you buy one today?
No, yeah. I didn't buy one today, but I saw them.
You saw them. And I think they're usually, how much are they?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, ridiculous.
So, yeah, so it actually does that. So she was showing me, because she played with it last night, of all the little spiral. And it does zoodles. So for those of you
can't wait
to not have, you know, if you don't have pasta, but you're doing like zucchini noodles or carrot noodles, those sorts of things. So yeah, so it's an attachment that works with our current cutter attachment. So yeah, it's very exciting. We do get excited about these things, don't we, Mandy?
Yes, I'm very excited about that one.
Lovely. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to take a seat. Oh, you should see the mess I've made here. Absolutely hilarious. But anyway, it's all behind the camera. So here we are. Can everyone see my screen? My cookie dough screen? Yep, I can see a few nods, so I'm going to take that as everyone. All righty. So if anyone's got any specific questions about cookie dough, please ask me. But what I'd love to show some of you today, because I actually did this with a customer today and she was really grateful for this information. So if you go up into the top corner, I've got a photo there, but you may, if you haven't put a photo in, it'll just look like a little chef's hat. So you can have cookie dough as you can be, when you first get it, you need to go in through the website, but then you can actually download an app on your phone and your iPad, whatever you've got there. Now, if you go into your profile, you can play with different things here. So at the moment, I've got myself selected as the veggie cook, but I rotate this quite regularly. So might change to the classic cook. So there's veggie cook, time-saving cook, chefy cook, and classic cook. Now you can select any of those at any time, and you can upload a photo, and you can see here I've named myself Michelle Moss Thermomish. So when I turn my machine on, that's actually what it says. Hello, Michelle Moss Thermomish. When you scroll down here, it's got all the accessories that are available for the Thermomix. Now, if you don't have these accessories, it'll actually look like this. And the beauty of that is that if you don't have a cutter, for example, it's better that doesn't have it marked because it won't show you recipes that need that. So same with the blade cover. So once you've got an attachment, you can tick that you've got it, and then it means that it will show you recipes that use those things. Then we'll go down here. You'll notice that I've got Thermomix version all. So it means regardless of whether the recipe says TM31, TM5, TM6, I can do all of those because I've got the TM6. So that's handy. And then under languages, I've got Italian and English. Now, I don't really speak Italian, but I have, you know, I've got Italian heritage and I love looking at Italian recipes. So I've put that there for a bit of fun. But if you go into update filter, you can then choose your languages. You can choose your countries. Now, I've got, before I had Italian as one of the languages, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, it's like quite a few of those countries do have, Switzerland do have English recipes as well. So I've got all of those countries selected, which means whenever I search for anything, it will search through all of those countries. So that's kind of cool. Now, if I go back here and click on the word Thermomix, it'll take me back here. Now, where that's relevant before, where I'd said selected whether I was a chefy cook or vegetarian cook, here there are 3 categories. So featured is things that are new. So you'll go like, this is, you know, these are new things that have come out recently, and they'll feature them at the front. When you've got here for you, there will be things that will be based on the fact that I have the veggie cook. It's given me all these options of plant-based cooking, lentil bolognese, creamy vegetarian rice. So there's all sorts of fun things there. So once that updates that I've changed that, it'll give me different ideas. And then in the themes, it gives you information, you know, it could be, so here you go, Easter eggs, Christmas, Halloween. Next week, in fact, in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure we'll be seeing Halloween things there. So that's quite fun. If you scroll through, so you can see here, Cookie Doo is turning 10. I have to say, Mandy, do you remember when Cookie Doo was launched and we were all a bit uninspired? I think there were about maybe 200 recipes or maybe a bit less. And we were all a bit like, oh, that's a bit lame. Here we are now, fast forward 10 years, there's over 90,000 recipes. And we all say we could not imagine having the Thermomix without Cookie Doo. It's the heart and soul of the machine. It really helps you with meal planning, with ideas, with how not to waste food. It really, I couldn't live without it. The other cool thing you've got in Cookie Doo is different videos and things showing you different things here. So for example, here, there's a little video showing the cutter. So if I press play on that, you can actually have a little.
Ever wonder how you can elevate the presentation and textures of your meals in no time and without extra effort? Imagine the endless possibilities of the new accessory Thermomix Cutter. One disc with 4 cutting functions that will broaden your Thermomix cutting experience. Now, bring new life to your fruits and vegetables at the touch of a button. Just place Thermomix Cutter into the mixing bowl. Select the mode to grate thickly or thinly. A gentle touch is all you need to cut your vegetables, fruits, toppings, and garnishes in seconds with ease, and letting nothing go to waste. Then, simply turn over to slice thickly or thinly. Preventing contact between the cutting disc and your fingers, Thermomix Cutter is safe to use and easy to clean. Collect your cut preparations directly into the dedicated cutter basket without interfering with the cooking steps done in the mixing bowl. Broaden the chopping, shredding, and grinding possibilities of your Thermomix TM6 or TM5 with one single disc that offers 4 new cutting functions. Thermomix Cutter will expand your creativity, elevating the textures of the healthy food you prepare for yourself and your loved ones.
How cool is that? So there's lots of different information, lots of videos. So you can really scroll through and do a lot of learning. You know, people have got noticing they've got the sensor on their machine. They're like, what is that? So you can actually watch a little video and learn what the sensor is. In fact, Mandy and I were talking about the sensor just a bit earlier, saying, again, when we first got it, we're a bit like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. And now I actually use it quite regularly, ironically, when I'm doing things in the oven, because that's when I tend to have my fails. I'll make a beautiful cake batter and then put it in the oven and burn it or undercook it. So now I put the sensor in it and it's cooked perfectly every time. So the other thing here is just searching. So you might go, what have I got in the fridge? I've got some, I used sweet potato as my example the other day because I That's one of those things I sometimes overbuy and then think I don't have any and then buy it again. So you can then go through and look at, oh, there's muffins, there's walnuts, there's soup, there's all different recipes here with the sweet potato. But you can again go into the filters and go, I'm actually looking for a main dish that's vegetarian that uses sweet potato. So select that, and here it says show 63 results. So now I can go in, there's burgers, there's a curry. Oh, a shakshuka, that sounds amazing. So you've got all these different, frittata, salads. So you can really play with, oh, this is actually lovely. I made that a long time ago. I must make that one again, the sweet potato and zucchini frittata. So if I stumbles across that and go, oh, yeah, I must make that, I can actually go in here and go, do you know what, I'm going to add that to my week, and I might make that tomorrow and save it in there. Now, if I'm going to make it tomorrow, I may need some of those ingredients. I'm going to add them to my shopping list. So what I can do now is go up into and the other thing you can do actually is look at recipes or collections. So when you're looking at collections, it'll show you, so you might go, oh yeah, Easter's coming up. What are we going to have here? And go through and have a look at a whole collection just on those things. So you've got lots of different options there. If you like the look of that, you can press save, and that will then be saved onto your machine. So your machine can hold up to 10,000 recipes without being online, which is obviously pretty cool, hey? Alrighty. Where are you at, Mandy?
Oh, I'm good. I'm eating.
Pardon?
I'm eating a cookie.
Oh, you're eating a cookie? All right, I'm just going to quickly show my week then. So now, as you saw before, I added that into my week. And the other thing I showed you on the machine was that you could select this little calendar icon and you can have a look at sort of left to right. So you might go, oh, that turkey bowl we made last week was actually really nice. I'm going to move that to another day and make it again this weekend. So
that's in my cookie dough for next week.
Is it? There you go.
Yeah.
And do you use chicken or turkey?
I haven't made it yet.
Oh, because it says turkey, but I imagine if you can't get turkey, I thought I'll just use chicken.
Yeah, we've actually got turkey leftover in the freezer, so I might use that. Yeah.
Oh, good idea. So they're all my things that I've got saved there. And you can see on the side, I've got my shopping list. So I can go show ingredients and see what recipes I've got in there. And you can look by category or by recipe. So when you're looking by category, it's very easy then to pop into your pantry and go, oh, yeah, I don't need that. Yeah, I need the cheese. Oh, I've got some brie. I don't have any mozzarella. I've got milk. So tick off the things you need that you've got. I've got olive oil. And then what you're left with are just the things that you need to buy. So from there, you can order ingredients and that'll go to Woolies, or you can arrange for a click and collect or have it delivered. So once you're in that Woolies shopping app, you can see you've got all your things here. Now, you might look at this and go, oh, that's interesting. That hot sauce is $8. I'm going to swap that and just see what else we've got here, or have a look what else I've got. Oh, you know what? That one there is only $3.50. Let's might swap that for that one instead. So you can go through in all of your ingredients and swap out things. And then when you're ready, you go add to your cart and it'll go straight into your cart. But your other option is that you can also share it. So if you're doing this on your phone, you can go, I'm going to share that list and send it as a text message. So, if someone's out and about, you can send it to them and go, hey, pick up these few ingredients on your way home for dinner. And it'll go through as a text message listing the things. And not only does it send them a list, it lists them in the order that they'll find them in the supermarket. So you're really making it easy for them. All right, Mandy, if you're eating cookies over there, we need to see that.
Don't need to see me eating, but first of all, those are the sausage rolls, the Kumara sausage rolls. So that's the feta, and they're absolutely brilliant. And tomato ketchup that I put in the chat before. So just with labels, I don't know if you know, but Avery, you can design your own Avery labels. You buy them. There's a free online program, and you can print out your own labels. So that's really, really handy. And these are the cookies, as I said, fairly rustic. But what I like about these, I think I mentioned at the beginning, I've made another lot of cookies, also peanut butter cookies. These ones are the American ones. They have half peanuts in them, but it's not just totally smooth. So it's actually nice because they're a little bit of crunch part way through. So I would recommend these over the other ones. that you find on cookie dough that are, they're either English or Australian, I'm not sure, but the American ones, I think, cut down the sugar. Sugar's perfect. And it does, I did have to add a little bit of salt, and I'm glad I added the salt, but and the salted peanuts, it's really, really good. And I reckon that's sort of food that most men would like when it comes to, well, if not, you know, us women as well, but men like for you know, grand final, good footy food.
Footy food? Well, I think, you know, peanut cookies must go good with beer. If you
Oh,
ask
yeah.
my brother, everything goes well with beer.
Yeah.
Marvelous.
So,
Thank you. I never made those sausage rolls, so I will definitely make those. And I think, again, like we said before, you know, you might have other veggies as well. Just include what you've got. So
absolutely.
yeah, so you can certainly add in extra nutrients along the way. Has anybody got any questions tonight? Oh, thanks, Mandy. I was just thinking that. Anyone got any questions? Who's going to make something that you've seen here tonight? We're going to enjoy
Well,
eating.
someone must make something.
I know. I've got my family waiting in the back. Going,
In the wings.
yeah, totally. Pardon the pun, in the wings. Like it's school holiday, so no one has to get up too early tomorrow. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, everybody. We hope you've inspired you to maybe try something new. We hope you've learned something. If you've learned something, let us know what it is, because then we'll share that tip with other people as well. If you would like to host your own demonstration, please reach out to either of us or your consultant who invited you here tonight, because I know that they would love to come and cook with you in your home, with you and your friends. And if you would like to join Mandy and I, please reach out to us, because we'd love to have you on our team. We have a lot of fun here, and we've learned so much, as I said earlier, from each other and from you as well. So especially if you're new to TM6, it's a great way to fast track your learning and you know, explore new things and learn from each other. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop recording. So if anyone does want to stay on and ask me questions, you can do that without feeling like you're in the spotlight. And if you don't have a TM6 on your bench and you would want one, of course, please reach out to us, because this amazing offer that we have on at the moment goes until the end of the month, which is Monday. So 4 days to go. And we'd love to help you get a TM6 on your bench. All right. Thank you, everybody. Happy
grand final weekend.
I know. Happy long weekend. Where's my recording? All righty. Thanks, Mandy.